Turn to the next page, the praise to Manjushri.
Za Sangye Shinto Nide Huayi Toko Nanda Shiva Churwa Sho Guru Rama Penda Pakam
Then please turn to the next page, Heart of the Perfection of Wisdom Sutra.
Chanju Sempa 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 Baba Chele Sempa Chu Shera Ye Paru Sempa Sambe Sempa Kila Kampa Kumbo Kambo Dita Laya Raji Ge Tumba Nampa Tawo Dine Samye Ge Tu Tela Tempa Shari Chanju Sempa 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 Baba Chele Sempa Chu Lati Ge Cheme Suri Ge Ku Kala Shera Ye Paru Sempa Sambe Sempa Sempa Tempa Vaja Dige Jene Vadam Chanju Sempa Sempa Sempo Baba Chele Se Hanju Ye Zedan Tempa Shari Dati Buddha Dige Jeme So Shari Bu Rige Bu Rige Bu Alala Shira Ye Harutu Shiva Samme Shiva 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 Dita Namba Tava Kumbo Nabo Keda Laka Jingi Tumba Namba Yanaba Jesu Tao Su Tumba O Tumba Yesu Zule Tumba Ni Shema Ye Tumba Ni Le Yang Su Shema Ye Vishendu Soa Yang Du She Yang Du She Yang Namba Sheva Na Tumba O Shari Bu Dita Chukam Je Tumba Ni Chinye Me Ba Ma Ye Ba Ma Ba Ma Chima Me Ba Chima Tam Je Wa Me Wa Me Wa Me Wa Hang Wa Me Wa O Shari Bu Dita We Na Tumba Ni La Su Me Su Wa Me Du She Me Du She Me Namra Sheva Me Mi Me Na Wa Me Na Me Je Me Lu Me Ye Me Su Me Ga Me Ti Me Ru Me Re Cha Me Chu Me Do Mi Ye Ka Me Ba Ne Yi Ye Ka Me Yi Ye Namra She Me Ham Ye Ba Do Ya Me Do Ma Ri Ba Me Ma Ri Ba Se Ba Me Ba Ne Ga She Me Ga She Se Me Ba Do Ya Me Do Ti Shen Do Tu Me Wa Dang Kun Jo Wa Dang Ko Ba Dang La Me Yi She Me Do Ba Me Ma Do Ba Ya Me Shari Bu De Da We Na Chan Ju Sempa Sempa Ba Me Bi She She Ra Ye Ba Re Do Shimba La Ting Je Ne Te Sempa Chaba Me Ne Chin Ju Lo Ne Shin Do De Ne Nyang Ge Le De We Tara Shin Do Tu Sun Do Nam Ra Shu Be Sang Ye Tam Che Yang She Ra Ye Ba Re Do Shimba La Te Ne La Na Yang Da Ba Du Be Chan Ju Dong Mo Ra So Ba Sang Ye Do De Da We Na She Ra Ye Ba Re Do Shimbe Nga Ri Ba She Be Wana Me Be Nga Mi Nyam Ba Da Nyam Be Nga Du Nge Tam Che Ra Do Shi Ra Che Be Ne Ze Be Na Te Ba She Ba Cha De She Ra Ye Ba Re Do Shi Be Nga Me Ba De Ya Ta Ga De Para Sam Ga De Bu Di So Ha Shari Bu Chan Ju Sempa Sempa Ye Da She Ra Ye Ba Re Do Shi Ba Sam Ba La Ba Sha Wo De Ne Chun De De Ding Ye Ten Te De Chan Ju Sempa 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 Ba Ba She Le Se Wan Ju La Le So She Cha Wa Shi Ne Le So Ri Ye Bu De De Shi No Ri Ye Bu De De Shi De Shi Da Ye Ye Ten Ba Shin Do Shi Ra Ye Ba Re Do Shi Ba Sam Mo La Shi Ba De Shi Shi Ba Nam Yang Ji So Ye Rang Hong Ju De De Ye De Ge She Ga De De Se Da Ten Ba Sha Ri Da De Bu Chan Ju Sempa 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 Ba Ba Shi Le Se Wan Ju Da Kang Che Da Ten Be Ko Ro De Da Ha Da Mi Da Ha Ma Yi Da Chi Sa Chi Be Chi Gen Yi Ra Chum De De Ye Sum Ba La Kang Ba Ra De Do Gade para sam gade poti so ha ha ju su ni me be to ge me 민주배 초당제 체례 도바 규지 모바 시와 규르지 예린 동가자저 시와 민주배 견남제와 등반주제 보승 소교배 다시 대장 대례쇼.
Skip it to page 14. The refuge and bodhicitta verse.
So for the benefit of all sentient beings, I want to achieve enlightenment, and for that purpose, I want to listen to Dharma, and that should be your motivation and intention. And the Dharma that today you're going to learn is one of the most important practice put together of the lamrim, the gradual path of enlightenment. And this text is called the foundation of all good quality. In Tibetan, we call it Yöndesh Yurma. And in this text, actually, the whole path of enlightenment is put it in a very simple language and a very simple way. And the path of enlightenment, in Tibetan we say lam. Lam means actually path. And so generally, when we say, if we ask ourselves, or we ask someone who is practicing Dharma, if we ask them, what practice do you do? And many times we say that I am doing some practice that is made by my master as given as a commitment, like a 6-session Guru Yoga, or sometimes we will say I'm doing this, deity practice, deity yoga, and sometimes we say Guru Yoga, and sometimes just kind of like a practice that's just kind of simple meditation, and somehow all these, whatever we are doing as a practice, all the practice are actually it should be the path of enlightenment, because the why we do the practice, right? The reason, the purpose behind our practice, it is like we have to have some sort of purpose right? If we don't have a purpose, then just kind of like it will become purposeless. Purposeless means meaningless. And so depending on what purpose, for what, like what is the reason, what are you, what are you actually thinking by doing this practice? So that actually shapes whether our practice is a genuine practice or just kind of like some sort of like a routine things that we are just doing, right? It's just kind of like if you're just doing some practice such as reciting the mantra or accumulating like many prostration, or just say like there are so many Dharma related practice. So these all should be sort of like motivated or intended by some great purpose. So that purpose shape what kind of path it is going to be. Because if the purpose is just to get some like this life mundane necessities or necessary thing, then what happens? The practice will become a path of something mundane, right? Because the practice that you are doing, it will become the path of to achieve something like, for example, for the reason I want to have a good health, right? I want to have a long life. I want to, be famous. I want to have money. If these are the purpose behind your Dharma practice, then that practice become a path to achieve, to achieve not something great. It is just something related to this life only. So see, that's how our practice become the path. Whether this our practice will become a path of enlightenment, it depends on how we actually put intention before our practice. So there are many different intentions. For example, like the intention, like I'm doing this practice so that I will have a better life next life, right? If that is your purpose, if that is the reason, then what happens? Our practice become what? Our practice become a path to achieve something good rebirth. See, that path can change. So that become the path to achieve something good, to achieve some good rebirth. And then, there is a little bit higher purpose. Say, like, for example, I practice this because I want to, through this practice, I want to achieve nirvana or some kind of like a peace, joy, only for me, just for myself. I want to achieve that, and that is why I am doing this practice. Then what happened? That path actually become a path of nirvana, path of peace, path of joy. So just kind of like free from samsara, right? So these are all sort of like interestingly in the lamrim. In the lamrim, there's a kind of like the path divided into three scope, like a three category. So there's just kind of like a three category. Normally, like the spiritual practice is something beyond this life purpose. If you're doing spiritual practice just for this life, for this person only, we don't count that as a spiritual practice at all. It is not in the three category of scope. Like in the lamrim, they talk about three main paths, the three category of path. So the first category is called the small scope, and then medium scope, and then great scope. Sort of like a three category of a path that is mentioned in the lamrim. So to actually, at least you should have intention to to achieve something better beyond this life. That is the at least intention you need to make it a spiritual practice. That is very clearly stated by Lama Tsongkhapa, the master, and he actually not just saying that because he's not saying that he thought so. He actually put the reference from the many of the Buddha's teaching. But somehow, of course, if you are only thinking for this life only, there's a difference between just kind of your limit. Like if you are only thinking about this life, right, then you are not going beyond. So it is like what happened is when your purpose become only for this life, what happened is your mind becomes so limited. It's just kind of like somehow either you are not thinking about the kind of like a life beyond this because you don't believe that there is no life beyond this, right? Just kind of this is what it is, and beyond this I don't have a life, sort of like a thinking. So sometimes there is also sometimes people might think, okay, in one part of the spiritual practice they always tell us not to think about the future, right? Then another time they are thinking about you have to have an intention to achieve something beyond this life. So isn't the beyond this life is something you are thinking for the future, right? That's a good question actually. But it is kind of like beyond this life, like thinking, just kind of not thinking in a way that how we think tomorrow what I'm going to become, not like that. So today, whatever is going to happen tomorrow, it depends on what we do today, right? So today, if we collect all the causes and conditions, if we put all the things today, all the have, then, just kind of the result will come tomorrow. So it is not your thinking about the future. So this is a kind of something, there is a very thin line, because that is something many times we don't understand. Because in the spiritual practice of the, to make it a lam or the path, right, spiritual path, you have to think beyond, right? When I say think beyond this life, what is your mind saying? That I should think of future. If you're taking it that way, then that is the wrong message. I'm not talking about when you say, so sometimes the word also kind of a little bit complicated, because you have to think, you have to think about future. We always think like that. But it is kind of like the more attention and focus you are actually paying in what you are doing right now, but the intention, we are talking about from the intention point of view. Intention, the purpose, right? The purpose, for example, why are you doing this? The purpose is saying that intention is, before the practice, the intention is for the, long term. So this is a difference, right? For example, when we say you should think about future or you should think long term, what is the difference? But we always think long term is always something about future. We think that. Even like when we say enlightenment, right? Enlightenment or nirvana is we always take that as an objective, right? Objective, something far, something like some very far place, right? And then sometimes I also kind of like people who believe in pure land. Like when we think about the pure land, where is people looking? People always look. The pure land is somewhere there. But actually Pure Land is not some kind of place. It is a mental state. The mental state is right here. Mental state. So it's just kind of like you kind of like connect into that mental state that you have. So there is a pure mental state. When you actually kind of connect with that pure mental state, and you function by identifying yourself as a being who is in that mental state, then you are already in Pure Land. Right? So that's why the Pure Land is not some kind of place, right? It is not some kind of like some place like America or Australia or something that you have to get a visa to get there. Right? It's not like that. It is all mental state. So that is why just kind of like when we say long term, don't think from a time point of view, don't think only about the future. Long term also means bigger picture. Sort of like when you are able to see the bigger picture of what are you doing. So that bigger picture is a long term, not just thinking more sort of like even when we interpret long term, we always think long term is something to do with the future for a long time, right? We just identify long term means long time. We don't see the difference between long term and long time. It's just we take it as a one. So that is why kind of like the purpose in a way, sort of like it is something you are kind of like beyond. Like when your mind actually open for the possibility of your existence beyond this life, right? There is a kind of like the possibility that the existence of yourself, the existence of your life is something beyond this only life. Then it is called the kind of bigger picture, and it is like you are actually kind of like having an intention for a longer term and also a bigger purpose. So bigger purpose, it means that like a kind of like it depends on how much your mind is open. So like if your mind is not open, kind of like if your belief is thinking that okay, this is it, whatever it is, and so whatever this my life is, it will end like how the candle, so there is a candle, like a light here, and then when I take this candle light off, it's gone, right? The fire is gone. So if our life is like this, that much, if it is exist, that much exist, then what happened? Like it's not a long term. It's like our sight is a short-sighted, very short-sighted. Because if you're thinking only like what my life is, how I exist in this life, and when this life ends, I become nothing, right? I just become nothing. Then very short-sighted, right? Why it is a short-sighted is because in the Tibetan also we say that next life, next breath, which come first, we don't know, right? It is just kind of like, people die so suddenly, right? They just breathe out and they cannot breathe in. And then they are already in the next life before they take the next breath. So next life or next breath, which come first? So if our purpose is that short-sighted, then it is just like what do you call, very meaningless, right? So that is why, like a long-term, in a bigger picture, something beyond, I think the word here we have to think is beyond this life existent possibility. So beyond this life existent possibility is not only talking about next life and the past life. It is part of that, but it is the meaning is little bit more than that. So anyway, path, like how it becomes a spiritual path is depending on what your motivation is, for what reason you are doing this practice. So, the small scope path is it's actually like if you are thinking that, okay, this is not only life, so even after this life, there is something. So I'm thinking this life as well as my next life. So we are not abandoning this life. Of course, we should not abandon. Like sometimes people think that, just kind of do it something for the bigger picture of next life. Then they think that, okay, this life I should abandon it. This life is just meaningless. It's not like that. It is like you are bringing something positivity into this life, and then your sight is a little bit bigger, and this life and beyond. So when this goes beyond just one next life, then that is short-sighted. So it is just go a little bit further, sort of like when you think of the samsara as like the samsara is so limitless, right? The samsara is so limitless, and the free from samsara is just kind of, okay, I want to free from samsara, and that is also I want to do it. Not just for the other people, for the sake of other well-being, just for myself. I want to achieve this nirvana. I want to reach the state of nirvana that in my own mind. Then that become a medium scope. So that is good actually, of course that becomes spiritual, but then if we ask, is that enough? Is this something great purpose? Then it is not a great purpose. Why? Because the reason is you are doing it only for one person. You're doing it for yourself. And you're doing, maybe you're thinking like a very long term, but you're only thinking long term for one person. So then, is there other possibility? Yes, they're kind of like for the benefit of all sentient beings. See, then it is like not only me and all sentient beings for this purpose. Means what happened? Your purpose becomes something special, right? So your purpose becomes like a very great. It's an infinite purpose. So that kind of, we call it bodhicitta, and that is the great scope. So if I put it, the whole path of enlightenment, from the beginning until the until you achieve or reach the enlightened state, so this path is all mentioned in this the foundation of good qualities. So if we keep making all the detailed things about this, I think it is going to take a long time. We have to explain the whole lamrim, right? To explain the whole lamrim, it is like, even it's a time consuming, because you will also have no time to listen. I will also have no time to teach. And our, sort of like a lot of different obligations we all have. So I think, when Lama Tsongkhapa put these short kind of verses on the foundation of all good qualities, and I always think, okay, he made this specially for us. For us that who don't have much time to practice Dharma. Right? It's many times kind of like our priority is not a Dharma. Right? And then we think that, okay, to make Dharma as a priority in my life, then kind of what I have to do. Then people have many different interpretation. Okay, to become a Dharma practitioner, I have to give up everything, right? I have to give up, I have to give up my job, I have to give up my family, I have to give up. But it is not like that. It is Dharma is not about giving up. Actually, Dharma is kind of like opposite, because you have seen many times there is some verses or the words, the wisdom that many times His Holiness the Dalai Lama use. He said, "Never give up." Right? That word, you can see that he kind of like never give up. That's a very powerful meaning, because it is many times people think the spiritual practice is about giving up, but actually it is not about giving up. It is opposite actually. Don't give up. Don't give up. If you give up your life, then there is no base, right? There is no base. Like if you don't have a life, then where are you going to bring the spirituality into? Because you don't have a life. You have to have a life, right? So never give up your life and never give up your courage, but just kind of like a day to day, sort of like this sense of sort of like I am never giving up, because we normally give up so easily, right? We never normally sort of like we give up spirituality for some very small reason, right? It's just somebody said something to me, somebody looked at me that way, somebody was showing attitude that way, and then many times it becomes an excuse for us to give up the Dharma. It's just like, okay. So then many times we are kind of thinking, I am actually practicing Dharma. You should appreciate that. Right? It's just sometimes people go on thinking that you have to respect me. Why? Because I am practicing Dharma. I carry Dharma. You have to respect me. And then when people don't respect you, then it is just like, okay, now I'm giving up. Right? It's just kind of like we give up spiritual practice so easily in our day-to-day life. Actually, it is not like about giving up. Just don't give up your life. You have to keep your life and just kind of like with that life, and then bring more spirituality into it. It is just kind of like keep doing whatever you are doing, but just bring more, add, which means, something, if you think it that way, then it will make you understand. Add more spirituality into it, right? For example, if you are walking in the park, nobody is telling you don't walk if you are a Dharma practitioner, right? It's just like you can walk even if you are practicing a Dharma. As a Dharma practitioner, you can walk. As a Dharma practitioner, you can eat. As a Dharma practitioner, you can drink. These are the mundane things that we normally do. And as a Dharma practitioner, you do your job. As a Dharma practitioner, you actually become a parent, right? Just kind of like be whatever you are without changing, but add some spiritual essence into it. And see, how can I make this into spiritual? Then that is what the spirituality is. It is just kind of, spirituality is not some kind of like something that you put yourself in some box, right? So this is called the spiritual practice, and then the rest of the other things are not a spiritual practice. This kind of like, okay, this is like a mundane, and I will never bring this box into that box. Right? So it is just like what we do in our daily life, we have we categorize it in our mind. And this category that we put ourselves, and then we are very careful that we don't mix it. Right? So that is not like that. So spirituality is actually to bring more kind of add your spiritual, whatever you have learned from the Dharma, bring that into your daily life. Bring more into daily life. So that is why it is not to the topic here, but I just thought about that. Sometimes it is important, important to know, because many times we forget, right? We forget that we have our own, interpretation. We have our own interpreted version of what spirituality means. And that spirituality is almost like either to be a genuine spiritual practitioner, then you have to go to the cave, right? And give up food, give up clothes, right? And sort of like our version of spiritual practice is like we always think like that, and then that is sometimes it is not good, because it is all interpreted by our ego. And our ego is very smart, because our ego tells you all this so that you will not bring spirituality into, day to day. So that is, because spirituality is against the ego, right? It should be the more spiritual practice you actually put into your life, I think you should become less ego. Like your ego should become less, and you should become like a more peaceful person, a more calm, more open, not so more rigid, right? Not so much judgmental. But many times our result as a spiritual practice, I see that a lot. It's not a judging, but I see that many people, in the name of spirituality, they become so rigid, right? They before they were involved into the spiritual practice, they are so open, happy-go-lucky person. As soon as they get into this Dharma spiritual practice, they become so serious. But they just become so serious, and then it's just like they start to judging. No, that's not you. You're not supposed to do that. If you do that, that's not good. Then it just kind of like you're not applying anything for yourself, but you become very good in judging others, right? And then you become so upset when people do something opposite of that. And then you lose the peace in your mind, and they become more and more angrier, right? And then upset. And then as a result of that, what happened? You become longer and longer faced. Right? It's like the more spiritual practice you do, I think that is how I interpret. It doesn't need to be correct, but I always think the more spiritual person you are, you will become less egoistic person actually. Your ego will actually become less. As a result of your ego become less, what happened is you become more open-minded. As a result of you become more open-minded, you become less rigid. As a result of becoming a less rigid, you become a less judgmental. Right? As a result of you become a less judgmental, you become a less complainer. Right? And we have to see that. Am I becoming a person who complains a lot about the world, about myself, about my neighbors, about everybody? Then it is a sign that something went wrong. Something went wrong in your spiritual practice. Something went wrong in your intention. So go back and change it, shape it, and think that, actually, the more spiritual practice I do, I should become more, actually, what do you call? Open. Right? More kind of calm person. Like a more kind of like a, what do you call, open-minded. Right? There is one, who was that? Rinpoche, I think Lama Tsongkhapa did one kind of scolding to the, the monks, in our monastery, we do a lot of debate, right? So, and he was telling to the monks, he's saying, sometimes you monks are very good in doing the debate to prove that the sound is an impermanence. The more you prove that sound is an impermanence, the more permanence you feel yourself. That is the wrong. Right? Means you are very good in talking that oh, the sound is impermanent, and you have so many reasons. In the debate we do like that, right? But deep inside, the more you understand the sound is impermanent, the more rigid you become with your belief that I am permanent. And he said that means your intention of doing the debate is wrong. So that is something we should understand. The path of enlightenment. So the path of enlightenment that Master Lama Tsongkhapa put is Goshinyi Tenzu, means the first and the foremost part is how to honor and rely on your spiritual master. That is the beginning of the path. That is the beginning of the path, and that is why that, honoring and relying on spiritual master or the guru is the foundation of all the good qualities. That is why this text name is called the foundation of all good quality. And that is the root of your spirituality. So it started from there, and then it end, the end word of this text is Dojichang Yebohan YouTube show. So Dojichang means Vajradhara. So Utu Sumju, so may I achieve that the state of Vajradhara, the state of Buddhahood, the state of enlightenment. So there are many different names and terms. So until you achieve there, so this all the path that is one by one, it is mentioned in this one. So yesterday also I mentioned, this practice is not just to kind of like a learning. It is more for practice. It is more to practice, and each of the stanza end with the saying, bless me. Jingila means bless me. With this, Jinla, I already explained. Jin means strength, strength or power or force. Lava means transform, change. So bring this change in me. This, bring this strength in me that I can change. So that is kind of like when we ask for blessing, that is the meaning of the blessing. So each word actually, and then who we are actually asking, right? That is the another question. And I think yesterday I already mentioned, but today I will review that a little bit so that it will become sort of more clear. Because before you, say like the practice this, the foundation of good quality, there is another stanza that begins with Pandenza Lama Tsongkhapa, my noble and kind guru, right? Dagi Ningal Bemyu Teng Shula, please sit or remain in the heart chakra of mine. Dagi Ningal Bemyu Teng Shula, on the lotus. Kadin Chimbu Gone Jesunde means with the great kindness, kind of like a Jesus Suma means please sort of like what do you call? Keep it under your guidance. Keep me under your, under your sort of like a guidance or blessing. And means please give me the enlightened body, enlightened speech, and enlightened mind blessing. Sort of like so these words, when you say this, you're not just saying it. What you're doing is actually you are like It is more powerful if you do that visualization at your heart level. So many times there is another way of asking for blessing is like we visualize in front, right? Many times we visualize the Guru or we visualize the, like the deity or Buddha, in front of us, and then asking, right? So this is a little bit different, and this is actually sort of like a more going into the highest yoga tantra also. Sort of like so you are actually bringing the essence of your Guru at your heart, enter of your heart chakra. So which means inside the central channel. Inside the central channel. So then if we say the central channel, then it is a terminology that used in the highest yoga tantra. But maybe normally we don't use that. But if you are, some of you might have some kind of exploration into the highest yoga tantra, so that for that purpose I am saying this. But generally, in the text, it is no central channel or heart chakra or anything mentioned, just mentioned at my heart level, on the lotus, the essence of my Guru. But then, how do you think that Guru at the heart, sort of like, in what image you have to put? So many times we put, sometimes you can put a Buddha Shakyamuni, the image of it, the figure of a Buddha Shakyamuni with the light form, like the golden light form. And even if you cannot kind of visualize any other enlightened figure, because sometimes we have many different, like, okay, if I say visualize Buddha Shakyamuni, then you must be thinking, how does Buddha Shakyamuni looks like? Does he looks like this statue, or that painting? Or then we have so many different versions of Buddha, right? Like for example, if you go to China, the China Buddha looks different. And if you go to the Japanese tradition, then Japanese Buddha looks different. If you go to the Korean Buddha, then Korean Buddha looks different, right? And then you go to Thailand and Burma, and then you look at their Buddha statue is different. And then our mind will get confused. Okay, so Buddha, sort of like so I visualize Buddha Shakyamuni. So how does exactly Buddha Shakyamuni look like? And then we just stop there. Right? So don't think too much about that. Like for example, if I say, like for example, you think of me, right? If someone who haven't seen me at all, they only see my photo, in my photo I will be different posture, right? Sometimes from this angle I will look different, sometimes this angle I will look different, right? Sometimes I will look very young, sometimes I will look very old, sometimes, kind of, but these are all sort of like a different image, right? Then we will, if our mind want to analyze that, then there is so many things. So don't analyze too many things. So just kind of like if that is kind of like your problem, if you have so much idea coming in your mind, okay, even I cannot visualize the image of the Buddha Shakyamuni. So Buddha Shakyamuni, okay, so if that is your problem, then don't worry. Just kind of like visualize the golden light. Just golden light, just kind of like maybe round golden light, that's fine. Nobody said you should not, you should not visualize golden light there. So that is that golden light on the lotus, or the jewel on the lotus, right? And that is the essence, In appearance, it looks like that, light, golden light, but appearance, it looks like that. But by nature, that is the essence of my Guru, and that is the essence of all my Guru. Think like that, and that is the essence of my own enlightenment. Also think like that. So my own enlightenment essence and my Guru essence and all the Buddha's essence, they are all one here. So then it will actually help you to actually practice non-duality a little bit. And when you do the later, when you actually do the bless me, and it will, the blessing that you are seeking, it depends on who you are asking, where you are asking, and how you are asking. There are so many ways to, right? It is not just saying, bless me, right? And the blessing that you are asking from this essence, that is at your heart, on the level of your heart, and that is also the essence of all the gurus, all the enlightened beings, and my own enlightened quality. So that is where you are asking. And the blessing that you are asking, where are you asking this blessing? The transformation, right? Please bring me the strength to transform, right? This strength of transformation, where will it happen? We are asking blessing, right? So give me blessing. If you just saying, okay, give me this, and you should have exactly, know what you are asking, and where you want to keep it, right? So you have an idea where you have to keep it, and you want to keep that blessing in your heart, right? In your heart. So these are the things that if you actually know everything, sort of how you are doing, where you are doing, to whom you are asking for blessing, then your practice of asking for blessing become different actually, right? It just become different. It's just not sort of like you are randomly asking, right? Because sometimes we don't even know, like, please bless me, we don't even know who we are asking blessing from, right? Just kind of like looking somewhere up in the sky, there must be somebody, right? And many times people ask for bless, it's just look up in the sky, and then some invisible guy, and sometimes we give an image of like a white color, gown, and then a white braided, sometimes it can be mistaken with the Santa Claus. Right? Sometimes people don't differentiate between Santa Claus and the God. And the only difference is how they dress. Right? The Santa Claus dressed in red color, the God dressed in white color. Right? So they kind of look up and thinking they're up in the sky, right? So means it's sort of like in this far away in the sky, there is like a beautiful, glass house. Like, there was one joke that Tibetan, somebody said, made this saying, somebody who doesn't have any idea about what is the, philosophy of the Buddhism, and then he said something about means, in the far in the sky, there is a glass house, and the transparent glass house, and there is this one guy with a very charismatic looking, and that is the Buddha. So he's thinking maybe some guy up there, right? I think many times when we ask for a blessing, we are asking blessing something that we actually don't know, right? So this is the opposite way of asking blessing. So that is why I always think that how Lama Tsongkhapa made this, there is some great point there, because you are actually asking the blessing also from the one that is at the heart, which is the essence of your own enlightenment, essence of your Guru. And there is no duality, no separation. The essence of your enlightenment and the essence of your Guru, they are one, inseparable. And when you actually kind of visualize that way, that will bring a very close connection with your Guru actually. It's just kind of like it is almost like whenever you have this separation, right? Guru is there, I am here. So that separation is there, you don't feel so close. The ultimate closeness feeling is you have to think inseparable. So that is the point here coming. So in that way, if you ask for blessing, then your blessing will be different, because you want to bring that transformation in your own, what do you call, simgyu. The, what is that? Simgyu means a mind stream, right? In your mind somehow need to change. When your mind change, so it is just like all the blessing that is coming in your mind, and then your mind actually change. When your mind change, mind is unfolding into something different. When your mind unfolds into something different, the whole mindset change. Right? When your mindset change, your perspective change. Right? Your perspective change, because it is very important. Because what kind of perspective you have, the narrow perspective will only experience narrow thing. The wider perspective will experience wider experience. So that is the change that where we are asking that blessing is, we are asking this blessing in our mind. Because when our mind starting to shift, when our mind starting to unfold and transform, everything transforms. Just kind of change your mind, change your life. That's a slogan, right? Everything is just because, how we think, where we set our mind. If you set your mind in a negative direction, what happened? Your life will go totally very fast into negative. Right? So that is why, just these are the things that you have to understand, and that's why I'm just kind of stressing this more important, because the word already translated there. So now, just think like that, think like that, and the meaning should be kind of easily understand, because this is also in English, and there's also translation of Chinese. If you want to, if you are more comfortable with the Chinese. If you are comfortable with the Tibetan, then go with the Tibetan. If you are comfortable with the English, go with the English. So let us do this sort of like immediate meditation, and I think that will be good, because if I keep explaining each and every word, we will never end. So anyway, so let us, you all have this text, right? The foundation of our good quality, and then let us recite this together. The Pandyan Za Lama Rinpoche, I think that is, I will say it in Tibetan. If you know it's in Tibetan, say it in Tibetan. But if when I say this, I already explained you the meaning, right? So just think of that meaning, okay? So just kind of like really, like how I explained, just think like that, and then let us do little bit of sort of like a guided meditation, but kind of like you are saying it, and you are saying it by applying feeling to it. Okay, you should apply some feeling to what you are saying, because if you are just saying like a parrot, then it is not going to help anything. Okay, so let us kind of like first to fold our hand together and say, I will say this Pandyan Za Lama Rinpoche, and then we will slowly read this English. Okay, so there is a bless me, sort of like all the things. I kind of, it is very simple English language, so you will actually understand what it is, each of these. So let us kind of visualize your Guru at your heart, okay? Pandyan Za Lama Rinpoche, Dagi Yindara Peme Tengshu Gadi Chebe Bone Jezunde Uzun Duye Mundru Tendrose. The kind and venerable spiritual master is the foundation of all good qualities. Oh, bless me to properly rely on one as the root of the spiritual path. May I practice Guru Yoga with great devotion through this understanding. A human life with leisure is obtained this once. It is of great value and is hard to find. Oh, bless me not to waste this precious life. May I practice day and night to make my life meaningful. The fluctuation of our body and life is like a bubble of water. Remember death, for we perish so quickly. After death, as a shadow follows the body, the effects of good and bad karma pursues us. Finding certainty in this practice and being mindful, oh, bless me to be consistent with my practice. May I always be careful to abandon even the slightest negative action, and may I complete the accumulation of all merits. The worldly so-called pleasure is uncertain and unreliable. It gives no satisfaction, and it is the door to all sufferings. Oh, bless me to set my mind focused beyond samsara. May I strongly aspire to achieve the bliss of nirvana. With the pure thought of attaining liberation which produces great conscientiousness, mindfulness, and awareness, oh, bless me to practice the root of the Dharma, the pratimoksha. May I generate respect for the pratimoksha and keep the vows of individual liberation. Having seen that all beings, my kind mothers, have fallen like myself into the ocean of cyclic existence, may, oh, bless me to practice the great bodhicitta. May I train in the supreme heart dedicated to enlightenment for others. The altruistic intention alone, without the three moral practices, does not lead to the great enlightenment. Oh, bless me to realize this and take the bodhisattva vows. May I practice with intense effort to keep these commitments. By stopping distraction to false objects and analyzing the meaning of the ultimate truth, oh, bless me to enter into the deep samadhi. May I quickly generate a path uniting calm abiding and special insight. Having trained in the common path and becoming a suitable vessel, oh, bless me to practice the Vajrayana path. Let me enter with ease the great gateway of the fortunate ones, Vajrayana, the highest of all vehicles. The pure vows and commitments that I have pledged are the basis of achieving the two powerful attainments. Oh, bless me to find genuine understanding of this. May I keep them even at the cost of my life. Having realized the significance of the two stages, which is the essence of the tantric path, oh, bless me to totally realize what the spiritual masters have taught. May I steadfastly practice without laziness the 4 sessions of yoga. May the spiritual teacher who leads me on the sacred path and all spiritual friends who practice it have long life. Oh, bless me with such inspiration that I may pacify all outer and inner hindrances. May I never be separated from perfect masters in all lives, and delightfully experiencing the magnificent Dharma, completely all qualities of the stages of the path. May I quickly achieve the state of Vajradhara. So this is the foundation of all good qualities, and then as we are reading it, you can actually understand, right? The first verses is relying, right? Relying on the relying and honoring the Guru, spiritual Guru. And then the second verse is is a human life of leisure is obtained, sort of like a tenjonyeka, sort of like understanding that this precious life, the leisure, opportunity, sort of like whatever I have, sort of like it is a small scope, sort of like somehow, the purpose is great for this purpose, but I am going to actually look at this, life, how precious it is and how difficult to find it. And then mitapa samba means tenjonyega, chiwa mitapa means this impermanence, the practice of impermanence, understanding that everything is impermanent, and because it is impermanent, that make it more valuable and more precious, and something sort of like may my mindset change into sort of like, okay, I will not waste this precious moment. I will, actually I will treasure this precious moment, and I will not take things for granted, like, sort of like the precious moment, like whatever our life, each and every moment is very precious, right? So somehow, like when we actually go the momentarily existent, then we become actually more aware. The more aware how beautiful it is. The more you actually see how beautiful it is, then the more valuable it becomes to you. The more valuable it becomes to you, then what happens is actually you will kind of like unnecessarily not waste your life in a way. So those are kind of like how Lama Tsongkhapa actually saying like that, right? And then level law, right? So it is just like this inspiration that I have to achieve, right? To achieve nirvana, just kind of like this mind that set not to waste my life, and just kind of like not to randomly coming sometime, not like that. Gyundu means sort of like continuously, consistently, sort of like, just sometimes you just think that, okay, that should be okay. Just once in the morning when I do my prayer, I will just think about that. And that is the only time I will think. And the rest of the day, I will not think that my life is precious, right? So we're not bringing that kind of like a mindset into our sort of like a daily kind of life, right? So that is Lama Tsongkhapa actually saying, so it is like a day and night consistently without any stopping. And may I have that mind. May I have that mind. Sort of like, so that is kind of like, bless me with that kind of strength. Bless me with that kind of mind. Means, like we are asking that blessing, right? So asking that blessing to change, transform this, because in our day-to-day life, it is opposite. So, from this opposite, may I change it. May, please bless me so that it will change. And how I look at my life, may I look at life as a very precious, sort of like that. So, so then, like Za Choeje means sort of like how our life is like a bubble of water. So this is remembering the impermanence. And then means sort of like after death, the shadow follows the body. Like the shadow follows the body, the effects of the good and bad karma pursue us. Means it's may I understand how accurate the karmas are. Sort of like like if you do something good, the result will be good. If you do something bad, result will be bad. That is just simple way of saying like that. And another way of saying, what is good and what is bad, again, there are so many different interpretations, right? What is good for me, not necessarily good for you. What is good for you, what is good, it means to you, not necessarily good for me. So that is why sometimes good and bad is also very kind of like there are so many different connotations, right? Just kind of like many times, you know, like when we think of good and bad, sometimes we become so judgmental about, you know, because we think that the good is, if I think it is good, then it should be good, right? And then it becomes like some sort of like a, you know, like a missionary kind of thing, right? It is not their problem, because they are trained that way. You know, they think that, okay, you know, their belief is the good, and then whoever not believing in the same way that they do is a bad. So maybe intention is good there, right? The intention is they really want to change you because you don't want to stay in that bad situation, right? It's just kind of, many times it happens, even it happens to me too. You know, sometimes in America, people try to convert me. And they just kind of, my answer, you know, is I always say, it's okay, you know, you go to your Christian heaven. I said, I will go to Buddhist heaven. So you will be happy in Christian heaven. I will be happy in Buddhist heaven. You know, if I come to Christian heaven, maybe I don't know anybody there, so it won't be so much fun for me. You know, I will go to my own Buddhist heaven. I know many people there, so I will have lots of friends there. And I say, you should not come to my heaven too. You go to your heaven, I go to my heaven. That's even. So, you know, then they don't say anything, you know, just okay. So that's it. But that's like, you know, when we say good karma, bad karma, again, that's very difficult. You know, some good karma for me can be a very bad for you. Some bad karma that you think, maybe I will think it is good. So that is how we interpret, right? So, and again, then no matter what kind of word we use, it is always sometimes I like to use like the harmful actions and helpful actions, right? And then again, that is also interpreted very differently. Because something that I think it is helpful for you, maybe you will never think that is helpful for you, right? It's just like if I tell you, this is very helpful for you, I'm only talking from my point of view. But then it can be very harmful for you, right? It's just kind of because of you, like how you do and how you know, how you brought up. So see, that is also, so that is why sometimes what is good karma and what is bad karma? So that is very difficult to actually exactly say this is the ultimate, you know, good karma and this is the ultimate bad karma, because you know, the action itself doesn't differentiate. You know, action itself doesn't differentiate whether it's a good karma or bad karma. So many times action can be defined as a good karma or bad karma by the intention of the individual. So if your intention is good, then if you do something, that action is a good. So your intention is bad, like say something like, okay, you know, like if your intention is some kind of cunning, trying to cheat, you know, trying to bring like only, you know, for selfish, you know, something that, then intention is not good. And even though with that intention, right, if you say kind of like somebody who really wants to, you know, trap you or kind of cheat you, with that intention, and you put up some great actions of bringing flower to you, you know, that bringing the flower action is a very good, right? It's a very good action. So what do you think? Is that a good karma? If you're looking as a third person, right? You're there looking as a third person and you know the intention of that person, and then this person is giving flower to that, the intention is very, you know, bad. The action that, you know, you put it there, it looks very beautiful. And what do you think that action that, you know, person put by giving flower, offering flower, is it a good action or bad action? What do you think? It's a bad action. Why? there is the intention, right? The intention is they want to cheat you, they want to harm you, right? So if the intention is bad, no matter action, it looks good, it is not good. So same, that is kind of like we can kind of like summarize like that. What is good action, what is bad action, because we are not judging about what other people are doing. It is kind of like a more sort of like a, how am I doing? You know, because you know your intention very well. So always try to keep something pure intention, a good intention, and with the good intention, you do the work. You present yourself, and you just kind of like how you physically present yourself and how you verbally say something. You know, then if your intention is pure, then don't worry. You are not creating any bad karma. So sometimes, you know, then question comes, okay, with the good intention, if I kill someone, right, what happened? Then I think it is a little bit difficult to have a good intention, to have a killing action, really, right? Either there should be some very great purpose, right? There was one story, right, in the Buddha's scripture. It says that this one bodhisattva, you know, killed someone. And why he killed someone is because in that ship, there was this one really sort of like a negative person, cruel person, who was going to kill all the 499 people. That is his plan. So he was, you know, and this bodhisattva somehow he knew that this man is plotting something. And so there is no way that if I let him survive, he will definitely kill. So there was a situation like that this bodhisattva somehow, with the intention, now here's the intention. So his intention is to save all the 499 people, and to save the 499 people, he killed that one cruel person. So Buddha gave this, I don't know if it's a real story or he just made an analogy, or maybe he said something happened like that in the past. And then he threw this question to his disciple. He said, he asked his disciple, what do you think? What do you think this, this bodhisattva, did he do the right thing? Or did he do the wrong thing? Because from the action point of view, he did a killing. It's not right. But then, on the other hand, he saved 499 people's life. That is good. Right? So now, is it both? We cannot say it is both. But then, nobody kind of really said something, and then they want the answer from Buddha, and Buddha said, actually, he did the right thing. He did the right thing because he saved. He saved 499 people. Even though real action is. So these kind of exceptions are there sometimes, even like some negative action. So that means even killing a person is not ultimately wrong action, right? Sometimes that can become a good action, good karma too. So that is why karma is very complicated. So anyway, just to understand, just to have a good intention, right? And then this is kind of like understanding, right? Understanding that karma, how the karma works, and just kind of just being mindful and conscious, just right, like be kind of pardon Dhamma means may I always have this kind of like being mindful with my action to have a good intention all the time, like that. Okay. Then Chebe Mingom Dugen go means so the worldly so-called pleasure, uncertain, unreliable, sort of like what does that means is many times like when we prioritize the worldly pleasure, kind of like we always put that on the top of the list, right? Something something like, we top of the list is that something, to have some kind of like a pleasurable thing, right? That is like that. So, but thinking that this, whatever I'm seeking, then if I have this, then we kind of like, we have a mistaken, like a misunderstanding that if I have this, then I will be the totally happy. That is the wrong view, it is saying, just kind of like, it is nothing wrong to have it, but don't think that after you have this, then you will be permanently happy. So it is like, don't think that this is a kind of like, this is a temporary happiness. So don't mistaken temporary happiness with the ultimate happiness. That is, having that kind of understanding is necessary, and with that, sort of like what is the ultimate happiness is the achieving nirvana. So something, the ultimate happiness is beyond samsara. So that kind of like a mindset, may I have that kind of mindset, sort of like, please bless me with that strength, like, it is saying like that. And then after you, sort of this is a practice of renunciation, but then again, sometimes I don't like the word renunciation in English, because it is interpreted into many, many different ways, because the renunciation sort of like, then it's always thinking kind of like a detachment, right? You have to detach. But then our mind is always black and white, right? If it is not attachment, then it should be detached. If it is not a detachment, then it should be attached. But then we never look at something there is in between attachment and detachment, right? So for example, like the, even when we say like the, something that we like, then our likeness become attachment, right? So it is just like many times, so there is, for example, like if you like, say if you like chocolate, is there an attachment to the chocolate? If your likeness to the chocolate is an attachment, then what about you? Do you like enlightenment? Right? Do you like enlightenment? Or like, then is that an attachment to enlightenment? Right? What is the difference? When you like chocolate and when you like enlightenment, what is the difference there? Is there some kind of like a level of likeness? Or sort of like, so that kind of like, even the like is a positive, but then when it reaches the, kind of limit, it go over the unrealistic way, then it become attachment, right? If it is stay on the limit, then it is just a like, positive thing. So anyway, this kind of like just generating inspiration to achieve nirvana. So just have this kind of like, may I have this genuine, right, kind of like inspiration to achieve. And after that, like when I have this inspiration to achieve nirvana, then how can I achieve nirvana? That is the, here in the word it's a pratimoksha, right? Soso tarve domba. So this soso tarve domba, pratimoksha is the kind of like people think it is only a monks and nuns vow. Actually, it is not only monks and nuns vow. There is a layperson's vow, right? Genye Gedomba. So Genye Gedomba is also considered to be pratimoksha. But just generally, it is some kind of like taking a vow. So you take the vow. Kyabsum Gelen Genye means like, even if you take the refuge vow, then that is considered to be sort of like a, taking the pratimoksha vow. So you somehow, it is like, why it is important is because when you take the vow, it is somewhere what you are doing is you are making commitment. So you are actually making commitment saying that I am deciding. So it is like when you decide something, then it just kind of changed, right? It changed because you, like before you are doing something, and then you are doing something with the commitment is different, right? When you do something without commitment, it's not so much kind of like devoted. When you do something with the commitment, because you took the commitment, because of your vow, so that is why it is saying the vow is important here. So may I have that kind of mindset to keep the commitment very strong like that. And then just kind of like with that, just having an inspiration to achieve enlightenment, is that enough? No, it is not enough. Then, Rani Sinzulhoma Jishindu, having seen that all my kind mother sentient beings, they are all fallen into the samsara, and I'm also fallen into the samsara, so don't kind of ignore them. Don't ignore your beloved mother sentient beings. So take the responsibility to free them too. So that is the bodhicitta. That is like the practice of the Mahayana. So Chanju Simchon Jongwa Chingilo means it, may I have this kind of mindset that has a bodhisattva has. So some kind of like an altruistic mindset. Please bless my mind. Right now, my mind is only very selfish. It is only thinking about me, me, me. So please bless me, bless something in my mind, that my mind will change, and it will change into not only thinking about me, in the best scenario case, that may I genuinely care and concern the happiness of other sentient beings. So may I have that kind of mindset. So when you have that kind of mindset, then that is a bodhisattva. So that is, you are just asking for that kind of blessing, the blessing to have this bodhicitta in your mind, so that your mind will transform, right? Then, like after you just kind of having this kind of aspiration, aspiration is again not enough. So then, like what you need is, again, you have to have a very strong commitment. So this commitment is a kind of bodhisattva vow. So there is the perfect technique or perfect way to actually take this path into reality and walk the path, is if you take the commitment, if you take the bodhisattva vow, so then it is saying, may I take this bodhisattva vow, like bless me to have a strength to take the bodhisattva vow, to make the commitment. So these are kind of like how different sort of like stanza will have a different meaning, right? And then not only taking a vow, like after taking a vow, then may I keep it, may I keep it, may I have the strength to keep it, sort of courage to keep it. And then after you generate this bodhicitta, then it just kind of like in my mind sometime, just kind of go into the distraction. My mind is very distracted easily towards the negative thing, right? Sort of like if there is something negative, my mind goes easily there. If there is something positive, my mind will not go. It is a little bit hard to bring my mind to look at the positive side. But to look at the negative side, it is spontaneous, right? It is just so easy to think of negativity, but there is kind of very difficult to go into positivity. So that's kind of like that kind of distraction. I get distracted so easily. So for this, as an antidote for this distraction, may I have this calm abiding meditation, shine. The calm abiding shine, sort of like may I train my mind to focus. So just kind of like if I want to focus on positivity, may I spontaneously focus on the positive, not get distracted to the negative things. And then just when my mind becomes so focused and trained in this calm abiding state of the meditation, then may I use this meditation not just to stay in focus, but use this skill, a talent of mind to focus, to analyze it. And analyze it, so that is the vipassana meditation. So, so just bringing these two, analytical meditation and single-pointed meditation, sort of like together. May I have that? May I, bring that kind of meditation? And then after that, then after, you just kind of common path is all, you have. You have a bodhicitta, you have the, calm abiding, right? The single-pointed meditation technique, and analytical meditation technique, and all this mindset is all there. And then may I enter into the path of Vajrayana, Vajrayana path. So then, in the Vajrayana path, may I be able, please bless me to actually have this master who can give me initiation and enter into the Vajrayana and take me. And then after, they're kind of like all the commitment and all the vows, I understand everything and I put it into practice. And then I put this practice also sort of like traditionally people putting the, Tunshin into the fourth session, right? The fourth session yoga means kind of like you are just kind of like, there is a traditional way of doing the retreat. So this traditional way of doing the retreat is like a 4 hour in the, like 2 hour when you wake up in the morning, and then 2 hour after the breakfast, and then 2 hour after the lunch, and then 2 hours after dinner, sort of like, so, pretty much you are spending 8 hours a day on the meditation. So that technique, that tradition is a so very powerful, intense tradition. Intense meditation, sort of like using the, using your time of sort of like in a good way. So that is like a more sort of like a retreat kind of like a technique. So may I able to follow that kind of retreat, Tuishin Enjo, So this Tuishi is also very interesting. There are different sessions, like 4 sessions, right? And then sometime in the highest yoga tantra with the Zanum, the session divided into the 24 hours, right? Like we have a 12 hour of daylight and 12 hour of nighttime, right? So that it's a 24 hours. And then within that 24 hours, there are actually 6 important sessions. It just kind of like because how the time change. So the time change, and somehow within this kind of like a first session, there is something happening. Second session, something happening with the depending on how our breathing system. And these are very subtle that maybe we don't know, but in reality it is happening. There are so many, like, and sometimes, people who do the Tsarung, they can actually feel sort of like the strength of the breath coming from the right side of the nostril and then the left side of the nostril. It just changes the strength, so maybe in the first session, in the 6th session, there is a breathing sort of like coming the, more from the right, right channel, sort of right nostril even. So people who do the breathing meditation, actually they just kind of like they can actually see, they can sense it. And I think even like not the meditator, many times, just as a beginner, you see sometime, just kind of the right side is stronger, sometimes the left side is stronger, and sometimes it is even. So this right side circle, left side circle, and then, evenly, sort of like there is a going like this 3 times during the day, 3 times during the night. So that becomes a 6th session. So this 6th session somehow, when you apply during that, when that wind actually change, and when that time you do some kind of mental practice, and then somehow they align, somehow this align, the physical existence, physical like energy, and your mind sort of practice energy, and they kind of align, and then it become more powerful. And that's why, we put a 6th session Guru Yoga, but many times our 6th session Guru Yoga is we just do 3 times in the morning, 3 times in the evening, and that's we make it more easy. But genuine, if you want to do the 6th session Guru Yoga practice, 6th session Guru Yoga can be done once every session. So it is just kind of like a one, like a first thing in the morning, and then, I think it is like how many? Like 6 times 6, right? 6 times 6 is 24? 6 times
4
every 4 hours, right? So it is changed, right? Every 4 hour, sort of like so every 4 hour you do each Guru Yoga. But that is a little bit hard to keep, right? But that is there is a great benefit, the significant benefit in there, but that is maybe only in the higher, higher salon, if you are doing like. But that is, I just thought about 4 session, 4 session is like that. Then there is a 6 session also. Sometimes maybe you have a question, why here 4 session, and then why we do the 6 session, right? So the 4 session is just kind of like doing the 8 hours of your day time or your practice time. So then 8 it's kind of like 8 times 3 is 24, right? So it is just kind of the 24 hour of your time actually divided into 3 categories. So just one part of this time you are dedicating to the practice. So, then the other 8 hours just a break time, like breaks, sort of like doing other things, like, and then this other 8 hours just kind of dedicating for the sleeping to refresh your body. So that is kind of like how 24 hours kind of like divided, and that makes sense, right? Scientifically, kind of like people say that if you have like just generally, if you have an 8 hour of sleep, actually it is kind of healthy, right? So then 8 hours of just kind of doing the thing, whatever you have to do, like eating, walking, and then 8 hours of totally practicing, so that if someone can do like that, and it is just kind of like a chashe, right? It's like 1/3, right? 1/3 of your time you are dedicating for the spiritual practice. So that is just, if you want to see the result of your practice, at least you have to spend 1/3 of your time on your spiritual practice. That is what the meaning is, this 4 session. So it is, so then, just kind of praying for the long life of Master, praying for the long life of, and then just kind of like at the end, he prayed that, may we all achieve this union of, called the Vajradhara state. So the last line, we don't know whether that was composed by Lama Tsongkhapa. Maybe you can see this last prayer everywhere, but somehow Lama Tsongkhapa added there. So maybe when he added there, it doesn't necessarily mean he composed it. Maybe it is in some other scripture or sutra. So he, kind of borrowed this word, and then he ended this, the foundation of good quality with that. So the foundation of all good qualities begin with this word, Lama Tsongkhapa, and then he put all the lineage masters starting from Shakyamuni Buddha, and then there are 2 different lineage, right? The Za Choeje, sort of like wide, right? What is that? Means extensive lineage, right? And then the profound lineage. So there is an extensive lineage that is coming from the Maitreya Buddha, Maitreya, to Asanga, and like Ingyen, Vasubandhu, and then there is a profound lineage coming from Manjushri, then like the Nagarjuna, then like the Aryadeva, sort of like, so there is a 2 lineage, the extensive lineage and the profound lineage. We call it Gyaltsen Choeje Samutta Yu, like that. So this lamrim, like the lineage master's supplication, and right after lineage master's supplication, he actually add this, the foundation of our good quality, and then people usually take this in their daily practice by saying, if you can say all the lineage master, then it is good. If not, then just say the first word, Lama Tsongkhapa, and then say that, And sometimes they put the foundation of all good qualities in your Guru Yoga practice. Say, for example, once you do the Mimetseve Dejicheresi, right? So, like you are doing the Mimetseve, like the mantra, and then after you do the Mimetseve, and then you can add any other your masters, some of their name mantra or whatever, You can put it like that, and then bringing, the whole sort of like the whole Kandel Hakya or the Guru Yoga, the visualization that you have, everything dissolved, and then it comes to your, on your crown, and then slowly sort of like first Pandita Lama Rinpoche goes into your crown chakra, dissolve, and become the white light, and then goes to your throat chakras, become a red light, and then goes to your heart, and then remain at your heart, the essence of your Guru. And then that is also become inseparable from your own enlightenment, they are saying. And after you do this, then you can actually do this, the foundation of all the good quality, asking for the blessing. Then sometimes, if you do that way, like to bring that practice in your daily life, with this practice, sometimes it is helpful. So, just giving you as a suggestion. All right. So I think with this we will stop this our third session of the Yudeshi Yuma teaching, and then Kanshuba de Datam just Kanela Kabachini Jagari Kamashu Lagi Jihe Savi Yeva Bendan Ruwa Mula Kampendan Kira Chisun Losan Bebe Nimbo Rindo Seche.
And then today, being the last teaching session, we'll do the long mandala offering on page 32. Page 32 of the prayer book. To last page, the final, long final lamrim dedication prayer.
Yeah.
last page from the second verse.
Ye pa nyam pa me pa yang, wo ne